Spacey Sims, and we are back with more Cafe Enchante, and we're just continuing where we left off. We're still in Chapter 2. We were just going into Ignis's perspective. So, yeah, here we go. What was it all for? My path? My entire life? All my convictions? All of my beliefs were shattered, and my vision darkened, growing dim under the sharp moonlight. Like an idiot, the emotions began to pile in my heart. I wanted nothing more than to scream. Took everything out of me to contain it. The thin, soft hand which hung desperately to me belonged to Spacey. I had no idea what to tell her. I couldn't look at Spacey directly, so when I shifted my gaze, I spotted, coincidentally, the blood splatter left from my skirmish with the Minotaurs. In that moment, the smell of blood paints my vision red. Then, I couldn't understand what I had done. Oh, what I'd done in this situation. I instinctively covered my mouth. What was that? What was that? Why did I react that way to the blood? My memories are fragmented. I didn't know what I was thinking inside the red periphery. Only an odd sensation, one that ignited in my chest. Turned my heart into a burning star. So you just come and live in the human world with us. It'll be fine. We'll take care of you, Ignis. I'm just saying. It'll be hard because you'll leave your beast world, but just leave it. It's okay. Sometime afterward, Kororo, who Il went to retrieve, was returned to me. As we made our way back to the gate so that Il won't pass out, Kororo stuck his body out of my arms and probed curiously around the area. In particular, he was fixed on one location, unwilling to budge. What's the matter, Kororo? Let's go home. I'm really impressed that they've spelled Kororo right this entire fucking, path. In the common route, they all over the motherfucking place. And sure, they don't know he, she, they. Fine. But, they've said Kororo the whole time. 2 chapters. We're halfway through, but, fuck, man, I'm impressed. I'm just saying. It's really sad when shit like that impresses you in a game. You're like, I am just impressed that we've managed to go 2 whole chapters. Anyway. We're going back to... Okay, now we're going to chapter 3. I was like, what's happening here? Why do we keep stopping? We have 2 sentences and then we stop and then we switch perspectives. It's because we're in chapter 3. That night, we managed to make it back safely. To alleviate our exhaustion, we decided to rest in our respective bedrooms. As for the Minotaurs we saw jumping into the wormhole before the Ignis revelation... Oh, into the wormhole before the Ignis revelation. Okay. Candace and the GPM agents who stood guard had already taken them all into custody. So here's the thing. I can understand them attacking him. Oh, you're an anomaly, blah, 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 you're a freak. Fine, but why are you coming into the human world to go after him? Just be like, look, you're a freak, stay the fuck out of our world, bitch, and then just, run him out of the, just be like, you stay in the human world, and fine, but, don't you come back here. I'm just saying. It would just be easier. Granted, that they would have been like, you stay the fuck out of it, you stay in the human world, and he would have been like, what the fuck, why? But, you stay out of our world then, bitches. A day later, all of the exhaustion I accumulated in that freezing world finally began to leave me. I got up out of bed, but I couldn't shake the anxious thoughts. One thought more than others. Because you're a killer. I don't know the voice I gave the fucking Minotaur anyway. Remember the raid on your stronghold? The raiding beasts and your fellow firewolves. All of them. The revelations from the Minotaur and... Hey, Uncle, say something. This isn't funny. Tell him how I drove the invaders away without killing anyone. You're the one who told me that when I was little. I'm sorry, Ignis, but you know it to be true. Your repressed memories are not mistaken. What is this? The image of Ignis's distraught face was burned in my mind. Ignis. We immediately headed to our respective rooms after getting here, but I haven't spoken to him since. In fact, I don't even think he ever made eye contact with me. Pew! Kororo, perhaps out of worry, slept next to me in my bed, nestling his soft, plump body against mine. Thanks to him, not her. I think Kororo is a boy, not a girl. I could finally wake from my half-sleep, half-dreaming state of consciousness. Thanks, Kororo. I guess it's no use for me to dwell about it. I patted him as a gesture of thanks. Oh my god, seriously? It's not even like we say her and Ignis says he. It's like sentence by sentence. Okay. That's the trade-off. We're gonna just switch every time he, her, they, it, instead of just fucking up his name.
Food!
Huh? My fingertips froze, processing Kororo's abrupt demonstration of speech.
Food! Ignis! Ignis! Food! Ignis!
Kororo eagerly flapped his hands and his tail, repeating those two words. Part of me started to think it was a desperate plea. What?
Food!
Oh, it's me. Food! You want some food? Are you saying you want me to feed you like I did for Ignis? The thing is, I had never heard or seen Kororo nag me for food like this before. No, Kororo wants you to bring food to Ignis. Look, I got it. I speak Uniseal! But because he was, I picked him up and we headed down to the kitchen. I placed slices of raw fish onto a plate that Kororo might eat, since he resembled a seal, and I figured seals enjoyed fresh fish. But
Kiwi!
Kororo expressed no interest in the fish. Instead, he shied away from it, completely disinterested. Huh. I took it to mean he wasn't hungry, but was he just repeating some words he recently learned? It was unclear to me what he meant by those words. Girl, food, Ignis, bring Ignis food! Don't be dumb, learn to speak Uniseal. As I was completing my mise en place for today's breakfast menu? My what? What is that? What? Is that like a weird ass typo? Or is that like some just random like fucking something? I don't know what that. Okay, anyway. I was completing my something in place for today's breakfast. I'm assuming something in place for today's breakfast menu. Something for today's breakfast menu. I have no fucking idea what that even is. I don't know. It's supposed to be some kind of like a French term, and I'm supposed to read it with like a French accent, because I don't fucking know, bitch. You can't just throw that in there. Whatever. The regulars began to arrive. Rindo, who came in rather early. Dromi, who accompanied him. Oh, this fucker. I don't trust him. Miser, back from the demon world. Canis, who held down the Minotaurs yesterday. The somewhat sleepy-looking ill, and the forlorn Ignis, thus completing the party. He's like, I'd stay in my fucking room, but I'm hungry, man. Right, bring food to Ignis. As we all partook in the meal, I recounted what had happened the previous day to Miser and the others. Then, after I finished my synopsis, Miser fell into deep thought. So, Ignis is a dangerous and abnormal beast, and they put a target on his back to defeat him at all costs, huh? Well, look who's talking. Aren't those bulls even more dangerous? Canis appeared to be in agreement, nodding calmly but affirmatively. How can we tell he's nodding? Because, like, when you're nodding, your head moves, your neck barely, you move your neck a little bit, but, like, how can you tell if he doesn't have a head that his head's moving? It's the logistics I question! I mean, I could understand he could pantomime, like he was deep in thought, like, let me put my hand, like I'm up to my chin. Like I'm thinking, there's hand movements you could do to mime. How do you mime nodding your head? I guess you could kind of see someone's neck moving, but I just feel like you'd be like, Are you nodding your head? Is that what? Wow, I've never noticed anyone's neck because I'm usually looking at their head nod, not their neck. You don't have a head. It's just, am I weird for thinking this shit? Like, is it weird that I'm overanalyzing this and being like, well, how do you know? Or it's like, he looked me deep in the eyes. How do you know? Like, every once in a while, she was like, at least I assumed. And you're like, okay, but there were so many times where you were like, you're saying this, but he doesn't have eyes that you can see, so you don't really know. Anyway. However, it seems strange to think of their story as a hoax, seeing how reckless they're being. The wormholes that the Minotaurs are using are a one-way ticket. Once they fall in, that's it. Which means they have no means of returning home. Isn't that bizarre? Oh, you're right. These guys shouldn't know about the GPM wormhole, or the gate located here, but you do, and you fucking told them, you goddamn son of a bitch. I'm just saying. Which means they're taking drastic steps to get at my bro.
So, setting aside the truth of the matter, as long as this odd notion that Ignis is a threat exists as an impetus, the Minotaurs will jump into every wormhole they can find in order to raid this town. Is that correct?
And why are all the wormholes coming just to this town? The actual fuck? So it seems. And by the way, are you okay, Il? You seem a little out of it.
Oh, it's nothing. I'm simply recovering from yesterday's overexertion and the fact that I played a bad ending in an Atome game and I just don't know how to handle it.
I assume. I added that last for effect. Anyway.
Please, carry on.
What? That would throw me off a little. He was playing Seven Scarlet. You got that quote-unquote true ending, didn't you? Yeah, you want to go cry together? Still fucking bothered by it.
It's been 84 years and it still bothers me.
Miser picked up where they left off. For now, if Enchante and its surrounding areas are under the threat of a deadly act, then we can't just sit idly by either. The beasts themselves aren't a big problem for us, but they absolutely will be for the innocent people living here. Then, Ignis, who had maintained silence this whole time, finally opened his mouth. Easy. Just gotta remove myself from this place. Problem solved. Don't you fucking dare. But that's... Out of reflex, I interjected. But before I could complete my thought... Out of the question. Huh? That's out of the question, Ignis. And getting rid of you won't solve anything. Like a Miser's not like, yes, please leave. Then I can have her all to myself. You're such a good boy, Miser. Think about it. You've got the biggest appetite here. If you disappeared, then Enchante will run out of business. As a result, if this place were to close its doors, that would be a catastrophe, wouldn't it? Oh, kind of like in the bad ending where we died. Because we fed to a fucking tree! By a side character. Jerome, get the fuck out of my face.
And that's right. Besides, the Minotaurs are the troublemakers here. You've done nothing wrong. I don't think it's appropriate to consider you the problem here.
Aw, everybody loves you. I hope I'm not overstepping any bounds here, but you don't sound like yourself, Ignis. Shut up! Although it was undeniable that his demeanor was atypical, Ignis was unwilling to argue his stance any further. After listening to their exchange, I let out a heavy sigh of relief. Everyone thinks of Ignis as an integral part of this place. He kind of is, though, isn't he? I mean, you know. Enchante was a home away from home for them, and kicking him out was absolutely out of the question. I'm glad. As I muttered under my breath. I locked eyes with Ignis, who seemed to have picked up on my voice. But he remained speechless and blithely turned away, because he doesn't want you to see him like this. Oh, got a cramp on my foot. I knew it. He had been avoiding me since the previous night. I just knew it. Let's get back on track. The Minotaurs and their rampages are a threat to the human world. Under no circumstances can they continue. I believe we should take action. You guys don't have to get involved. This is between me and Bestia. I'll clean up my own mess. Oh dear. You seem determined to do everything by yourself today, don't you? So tell us, how exactly do you plan to solve this issue? Have you any idea at all where the Minotaurs are hiding?
Besides, if we delay taking action for too long, other beasts may become privy to the wormholes linking this world and theirs. And by that point, the Minotaurs won't be the only beasts requiring our attention in the human world.
Hey, bro, maybe you should lighten up and let them help you here.
Okay, this is like the one time Dromy's ever said anything fucking intelligent. I want to actually be like, I love Drome, he's such a pain in my fucking ass, and like, whatever, but I just don't trust him after Venia, okay? Like, I loved Venia, and look what he did to me. You were a pain in the fucking ass, so I just really don't trust you, is all I'm saying.
It doesn't seem like brute force will be enough to handle this issue. There are millions of beasts out there starting to take interest in this world, and who knows what wars or disasters await.
Miser and the others considered Ignis's silence as silent agreement, so they carried on discussing a plan of action. So, let's sort this out. I see 2 possible options for us. First, we could find a way to close up all the wormholes that link Beastia to this town.
And that would be the best case scenario, though likely unfeasible. Wormholes are a largely unexplored phenomenon that even we here are not fully equipped to deal with.
True. Plus, with the incident at Amasaki Island, it's not like I can close up any wormhole on a whim, even if I wanted to. Then, at the least, perhaps what we should do is preemptively identify where they could be hiding and prepare for a beast invasion. But that would put us on the defensive, in which case... Yep, the second option would be for us to become the big prize. We'll have to eliminate the entire reason the Minotaurs have for coming to the human world. Which means... if we can eliminate the notion that they must eliminate Ignis at all costs, then they wouldn't have to come here in the first place, right? That's right. If we can find some way to redirect their ire, then perhaps we'll spare this world from becoming a battleground. The reason the Minotaurs started targeting Ignis all of a sudden was...
No other beasts lose control of themselves or rampage other than you? Beasts are self-centered and cruel. For that precise reason, they never go berserk. Each retains their sanity. However, you are different. You fight, go berserk, run rampant, and kill. You're far more dangerous than us, who fight with our conscience intact.
I know that's not how we laugh, but I just sometimes like doing it. It seems they fear Ignis's special trait. Or, sure, special trait is a nice way of saying it, I guess. For now, let's refer to it as his rampage instinct. We need to deal with it somehow. A rampage instinct? An instinct held only by Ignis that sees... Arumam? That sees Arumam? What's Arumam? As a danger. He loses his mind, attacking both enemy and ally when in a rampage. Ignis that sees... Was that what they called the Minotaurs? I don't know. Look, I don't remember all the terminology, but you could have just said Minotaurs. I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
I wouldn't be here if I could.
I figured as much. As far as I can tell, it sounds involuntary. And now I understand why Makata was confused back then.
Well, I first heard about this when I was a little kid. And I guess beasts overstimulate their combat instincts if they fight too hard too long. They go mad and start raging uncontrollably.
Huh? This is the first I've heard of that phenomenon.
Well, like you know everything about every world, Mikado? Jesus. Sorry. If we take the Minotaur's word for it, then we wouldn't have seen anything like it from any beast other than Ignis. Oh, but in terms of their sanity, or lack thereof, it seems like all of the Minotaurs we've encountered were in a similar state. So how do we explain that? I posed the question sincerely, which prompted Rindo to pull out a tablet and fiddle with it for a bit. Mikado already answered that question. Seems like he found traces of drugs in the Minotaurs. They were drugged? Could somebody have been drugging Ignis? Well, why would you drug Ignis as a child? You know what I mean? But like... I'm sorry. Could Dromi have been drugging Ignis? Right. However, he's yet to discern from where these drugs came from. Came from the human world. And Dromi got them. That's what's gonna happen. Mikado's gonna be like, they came from the human world! Just like that seed that made that evil fucking tree that tried to eat us. I'm just saying the human world sounds like a cesspool of bullshit because we're like poisoning everything. We're awful. We're like the worst. We made that goddamn tree that eats fairies and tried to kill us. I mean, what the fuck? We probably invented the drugs that are making the Minotaurs go and try to kill Ignis. I'm just saying, like, the fuck? Man! Human world is just... You shouldn't go there. We're a bad influence.
You shouldn't hang out with those kids. They're a bad influence, those humans. Terrible. They're gonna end up in jail one of these days. Universe jail.
Anyway, yeah, Mikado's gonna tell us that it came from the human world, and we're gonna be like, Dromi got it, and okay, it's gonna be obvious. How in the world would they have gotten it there, huh? And it's like, nobody's gonna be able to do, too, put the adding together. Why? I don't understand! Ignis is the only one who could have done it! And we're gonna have that moment. If we have that moment, I'm literally gonna lose it. Like we had with the, I don't understand why Candace would kill a fairy. His name is the Fairy of Death. You've been told this 500 fucking times. I'm never gonna forget it! Because it angers me. But it's going to be that, like, I don't understand. How would the drugs from the human world have gone there? Ignis is the only one. He was doing it to himself. That seems so weird. And we're not going to... Jerome's going to be standing right fucking there. And we're not going to be able to figure out that it was that fucker. I understand the... I mean, Jerome could have done it, but do we really think he's smart enough? I understand that. Doubting that he would have done it. But they're not even going to... They're going to be like, oh, what? Like, they had no clue at all. Like, he wasn't standing right fucking there. Like, they never would even thought... Like, I mean, come on. Come on. Anyway, Mikado is basically going to tell us that they came from the human world. I guarantee it, so... And that's how we're going to start all of a sudden be like, Dromi! Anyway. Right. Oh, yeah. However, he's yet to discern where they come from. Okay. Read that already. Whatever those drugs were, they had to be serious. I mean, drugs are all serious things. In a nutshell, it increases their physical... increases their physical in exchange for their sanity. And that's the kind of drug we're dealing with. Bird, why are you screaming? Drugs. I could hardly fathom such a thing ever existing in Bestia. Which leads me to ask, is it from here? Okay, now you're being smart, but then we're gonna get confused and stupid on why I got there. Hold on. Sneeze out of nowhere. Anyway, the Minotaur's gonna be... Oh, the Minotaur's going bonkers aren't what we should be concerning all of you. Anyway, okay, let me redo this because I didn't read any of that. Anyway, the Minotaur's going bonkers aren't what should be concerning all of you. At the end of the day, I'm the only one who goes berserk in combat. I guess he's right. We'll have to face it. The other firewolf corroborated this too. Is there any way that his rampage instinct could be cured using Ill's magic? I might have come off as unreasonable, if not totally naive, but... Bird, stop screaming! Stop! When I glanced over to Ill, it seemed he put serious consideration to my inquiry.
When it comes to psychological control, I do possess magic which can aid me, but I'm unsure if it will in our case. Especially if we're dealing with something that comprises the core of who Ignis is, in terms of his physiological response. And no matter how we try to contain his power, eventually the mind will give. You have a point. Well, we can't dwell on stuff we won't know. Let's find solutions instead. First, let's investigate his rampage instinct. Eyes are cut in, displaying his trademark smile. Then, in a hushed tone of voice, he spoke solemnly. Also, in the 1 in a million chance that Ignis goes on a rampage, and then we would have to stop him. And since we know how tough Ignis' 2 hands over there is, we have to be careful. Could be the difference between life and death. In that case, no matter where we are, we're risking a lot of collateral damage, so...
Amasaki Island? Poor little clay pot people. As a fellow Enchante regular, or let's be honest, as friends, we don't want that, do we? Silence hovered in the air between us. But in that silence, everyone's renewed resolve seemed to find its footing. Very well. Perhaps we should try speaking with the other firewolves who are aware of Ignis's past. I guess this means we're bound for Bestia. Il, do me a favor and bundle up, got it?
Yes, I'll be sure to keep that in mind this time around, and make every moment count.
Why don't we put the fur on you, too? It should be fine. And so, the discussion concluded. Miser and some of the others arranged for a trip to the Firewolf stronghold the very next morning. However, if we were to stay here all alone again, there's a chance that the suspicious person would return to fling me back in. So it was decided that it'd be safer if I traveled with them. At the end of our discussion, as everyone rose from their seats... Ignis? I called upon him instinctively, seeing as how he was the last to rise from his seat. What do you want? Nothing in particular, but... Then don't stop me. Ignis spat these words out, saying nothing else as he turned his back to me and stomped upstairs. Wow. We always have to have a misunderstanding, because we did that, you know, we had the misunderstanding with Canis, which was the, oh my god, we saw you kill a fairy, and then he's like, you know what, this is the way shit is, don't talk to me about it, peace out. Because he's like, you know, it's something he was ashamed of. And like, Ignis is the same way, this is something that he's ashamed of. And he feels weird, like, oh my god, she's gonna think weird, she's gonna like think less of me and all that shit, so he's like, yeah, whatever. Like, brushing us off and staying away from us. You know? The thing is, he doesn't have, like, another bad ending. You know, like, in Canis, we had the one where we were like, we'll just let him take his time, and then he never came back. Like, we're like, okay. Like, Ignis doesn't have that. A piece of silverware caught my eye. It sat on the edge of a plate, and I saw as it lost its balance and fell onto the table. The spot where it fell was the same where Ignis was sat earlier. Oh. Then I realized the breakfast I had prepared for Ignis was hardly touched. It was left uneaten, long since cooled. Once everybody left the scene, I stared blankly for a few moments at Ignis's leftover breakfast. I like the fact that, like, we were staring at the breakfast, but they showed Canis, so obviously Canis kind of, like, saw us staring at the breakfast, like, forlornly, I guess. I tried my best that I could make him feel at least a little bit better. I even used some of his favorite seasonings and whatnot, but I guess it wasn't to his liking. No, he's just feeling sorry for himself right now. It's okay. No, that wasn't it. At the moment, for Ignis, his entire belief system, his entire way of life had utterly crumbled. See, okay, she's smart. Stupid about the whole Canis thing, and, like, probably is going to be stupid about, you know, when we're totally presented with all the evidence that Dromi is an asshole. Probably going to be dumb about that, too. But smart enough, for the most part. I guess that's why it makes it worse. Because she's like, I guess he didn't like it. And she's like, no. It's because everything he knows about his life just, like, got ripped away and he's having some self-doubt moments. Understandable. You know what I mean? He had no strength in him to enjoy a meal. I reminded myself of this. Despite how hard I tried to convince myself, it was nevertheless impossible to lament.
Miss Owner? Mind if we talk for a sec?
Just as I was succumbing to my own gloom, Dromi appeared all of a sudden behind me and called out to me. Don't trust him, don't go anywhere with him, don't go near the gate, don't go near Dromi, just don't. Well, what's the matter? I thought you were on your way to Bestia already.
Well, something's been bothering me, so I came back, if that's okay.
What's bothering you?
It's our discussion from earlier?
I detected a hint of reservation in Dromi's voice as he opened up.
So, you know how they're trying to find a way to fix my bro's instincts, or whatever?
Oh, right. Does that worry you?
Can't you see? He's the only beast that rampages like that. Doesn't that make him special? I mean, maybe that's why my bro's the strongest of all time.
Okay, it's interesting that you're saying this, because I don't trust Dromi at all, okay? I don't, but it's funny that he's like, why would they try to fix it? He's special. But you were the one sending the Minotaurs after him. But I guess it's part of the, it's part of the wool that you're trying to pull over our eyes, you know what I mean? Oh, he's special, man, I think he's special, you shouldn't try to get rid of it. But then again, maybe it's because if he gets rid of it, then he'll get to stay the strongest, because he doesn't always lose his instinct and kill people, he just has done it before, you know what I mean? And if he doesn't get rid of his instinct, then it's like the beast will still either keep coming after him and kill him, which then Dromi can move in as being the strongest, even though Dromi will never be the strongest, but whatever, good, whatever. Or you can kick him out, you know what, I don't know, so I'm just kind of curious as to his thought process here, but we'll find out, anyway.
So, taking something like that from him, something connected to who he is, it's unbearable to think about.
I felt speechless, surprised by the sentiment behind Dromi's emotional complaint. The man I saw before me was not the usual dull and haphazard lad that he is, but instead I saw a man who admired and wanted to protect Ignis's strength.
Of course, I get that things are kind of dangerous given the circumstances, but my bro is my bro because he's strong. It was his powers that led him to the top and making Beastie a better place. It's the legacy that'll follow him forever.
Dromi cried out passionately, reminding me of the heart behind Ignis's mission in life.
Remember how many times he used his powers for good to save your life? Don't you remember? And now, you just want him to change who he is, all because it's too dangerous for people here? Isn't that a little too convenient?
It's a little too convenient that you're the one speaking any kind of reason. By this point, Dromi was almost yelling, but he made a good point. But Ignis doesn't want this. Dromi, I'm not so sure that Ignis wants things to stay as they are. He doesn't want to kill anyone. He doesn't want to kill anyone. Wait. He doesn't want to kill anyone. He doesn't want anyone to kill anyone. Okay, I was like, did we just repeat the same sentence? I did, because I missed the anyone. Okay. He doesn't want anyone to kill anyone. That's why he's accepted this fate. I think that's what he desires.
That might be true, but...
Dromi, if you really think of Ignis as your bro, I need you to cooperate with us. If we leave him alone and he ends up going on a rampage and kills someone, the Ignis you know and love will completely fall apart, and I'm not sure we'll get him back. I tried my best to persuade him, but he seemed unconvinced.
That's not the issue here!
He reached his emotional breaking point, taking his anger out on a nearby table.
If my bro isn't my bro anymore, then it's all for nothing! The vow he and I made will all go down the drain!
Vow? The second I asked, Dromi cut himself off. Perhaps he realized how irate he had become that he hurried to cover his mouth. This is interesting.
I'm sorry. I kinda lost it there. I know it's meaningless to take it out on you, Miss Owner, so I apologize. I'll head back to Beastia and cool off for a little bit. See you at the gate tomorrow.
I was flabbergasted. I've never seen Dromi so worked up before. See, this is where you should start getting sus. But it came as no surprise, given how much he idolized Ignis's strength. I suppose it was an understandable reaction. No, not really. Still, both Dromi and I cared deeply about Ignis. That much was undeniable, but our opinions for how we should proceed differ so much. If Ignis had overheard our conversation, what would he have said?
Fucking did overhear your conversation and I can hear your goddamn thoughts, Jesus! Screaming so loud.
Just kidding.
There I was, lying in my bed without much to do. So I'm the only beast in a little Beastia that loses his head, huh? Everything that Minotaur and my uncle said played repeated in my head.
repeated in my just repeated in my head, I guess. To me, would be better. Anyway, lies, the setup. I wondered how many times I'd replayed that scene to myself, but when I gave it some thought, even the dumbest, most knuckleheaded beasts I fought had never gone so cuckoo that they blacked out. This stuff is serious. I had my fair share of fights, probably even more than I thought, but it never occurred to me until now. As I started to realize how much of a total moron I've been this whole time. What was it all for? What have I been doing? No, the real question was, what am I? A firewolf who goes crazy. A crazy firewolf. Just what kind of monster am I really? I felt like a stranger in my own body. At any minute I could lose my sanity and murder someone, friend or foe. That, to me, was scarier. I can attack anyone as opposed to someone who killed intentionally. Aw. I have an existential crisis. I'm a killer. I've killed. Other beasts, no less. Even worse, my kin, the firewolves who I tried to protect. And even worse than worse, your friend. And Spacey, she heard it all. Yeah, but we love you anyway, it's okay. Well, I thought you might not want to be around me once my position in Beastia came up. But you don't care about that, do you? I'm at the top of this kill-or-be-killed world. You know that, right? The hell is with that look?
Well, be that as it may, you've kept true to your creed, which means you've never killed anyone, right? I just don't get how someone could hold any fear or hatred towards you for something you haven't even done.
Oh, and he's like, oh, but now that you know that I've killed you, and like, no, Ignis, the thing is, you didn't do it intentionally. You know what I mean? You went crazy, and that's like, you know, you just need some, like, non-crazy medication. You know what I mean? It's like, you just need to fix that. It's not your fault. I mean, no, you shouldn't be like, well, I killed people and I was because I was in a fugue state and it's fine. Like, no, you should still feel responsible for your actions, but you didn't purposely go like, I enjoy killing in the blood. You're like, I don't want to kill anyone. And you're like, oh my god, I did kill someone. I need help. You know what I mean? You recognize that you need help to fix this. Seems like I lied to her about my vow never to kill a long, long time ago. And you've never killed a human, so technically, in the laws of Beastia, it's fine. You know. It strained me to entertain the thought. Damn! What am I doing coming back here so willy-nilly?
So willy-nilly. Let's go home, Ignis.
If you're going home, you should go alone. Now... Her sad face. What? I should have pushed her away back then. No. Even before that. Before she heard the truth.
No, but we love you.
Are we gonna get that CG again? Yeah! I love it. Spacey's warmth. I cringed to myself thinking that I might have taken her kindness for granted this whole time. I used those two monstrous hands, stained by the blood of who knows who, to touch her. Aww. Oh, the comforting memories that I had of Spacey were being overridden by fearful ones. What if, on that day, at that moment, I had turned into a monster and had pointed my fangs at Spacey? Once I started down this rabbit hole, there was no turning back. Because I had already taken a dear friend's life with my hands. There's no guarantee that I would do the same to Spacey. And yet, she's so weird. That's how you know they're in love with you. She's so weird. Aw, he loves us. Why would she even take my hand after learning the truth? Why wouldn't she fear that I would kill her the moment she touched me? Why would she allow this bloodthirsty monster to sit inside of her cafe? Damn it! I don't know what's going on anymore. My head was ready to burst, packed to the brim with revelations and confusion. As I let my emotions get the better of me once more, the door swung open. I shot up just in time to see Canis. Now, It's you, Canis. Don't you know how to knock? And this is my room, too, if you recall. I think it's funny that they share a room. Why are you so depressed? Usually, if I recall correctly, you would leap at the opportunity to dole out a beating on the Minotaurs with great enthusiasm. Shut up! You don't know me! You're right. I know nothing about you. We were born at different times, in different circumstances. We are nothing alike. Except for, I kill people and I have to do it and I'm aware of doing it. You weren't aware, so, you know, you have a little bit less baggage than me. However, I can tell that Spacey's mood has dropped because of your sudden need for distance. He hit me right where it hurts. Couldn't even muster up the energy to howl. Well, don't blame me. Forgive me for being a little upset about learning I'm a bloodthirsty murderer who could fly off the handle at any moment. She's the most vulnerable of all. How could I ever get near her? Ignis, that is no excuse. You express all this concern for her, yet here you are, hurting her, whether you know it or not. You hardly even touched the food which she went out of her way to prepare for you. That's... I understand your fear. I'm not telling you to forget and act like nothing happened. But for all our sakes, you should tell Spacey your true feelings. At this rate, she will spiral into despair. And we will all have to take her out on dates again. Remember? Remember? You wouldn't bother coming back here if all you wanted to do was ruin her mood. Those were Canis's parting words before he left the room. Goddamn nosy little Doulahan. Did you really come here just to lecture me? I don't need you or anyone to tell me. I'm well aware. Just as I mutter this to myself. At this point, I was growing resentful of how my stomach could howl almost as loud as I could, even now. Well, I guess I did skip breakfast, even if it's right in front of me. Can't be helped, I suppose. Wait a minute! That's weird. I only skipped one meal. Why am I this hungry? I mean... Did I even have this much of an appetite before? When I first met the old man, no matter how exhausted I was, a single meal was enough to satisfy me, but... I sat alone in my room, with much ado. Kororo was lying comfortably in my arms as I stared at a faint stain on my wall. This feels odd. Normally, at this hour, I start getting anxious if I'm not doing something. It was better to close up shop at this point. My only reservation was thinking about a customer who wanted a cup of coffee. But I just can't... I didn't want to think about the leftover food, so I ran back to my room. The one who's hurting the most is supposed to be Ignis, right? At the very least, I wanted to get my body up and moving. So I got to my feet and pulled a book from my shelf that Grandpa had left behind. So maybe, like, the food is what's causing it. I mean, nobody's ever eaten before, so you rampaged as a child. I mean, I thought the food was calming the rampage, right? But he has been fighting more recently because the Minotaurs are coming. So if they stayed away and he stayed here, you just eat like normal, keep yourself at bay, like... Maybe that's what Kororo meant. Ignis, food! Give him food to fix it! I'm just saying. Maybe I can learn a little bit about Ignis and the beasts. But... Greek mythology, ancient Egyptian mythology, Norse mythology? Wow. Norse mythology does not want to come out of your mouth. Like, wow. Biblical mythology? There's so many mythologies involving animal races, it's hard to pin down. Of course, animals aren't like fairies, angels, or demons, where their existence is limited to certain texts and regions. In that case, what if I narrow it down to mythologies that include werewolves, like Ignis? While flipping through the pages, I heard someone rap on the door. That force of knock startled me. I set the force of the knock startled me. Wow. I set the book down on my bed, leaving the page open next to Kororo. Come in? I signaled my consent for them to enter as I rushed over to the door. I knew it was you, Ignis. I thought he had been completely avoiding me, but now here he stood. It was impossible to contain my confusion. At the same time, now that he was here, I forced myself to act as normal as possible, so I began to speak. What's the matter? Did you need anything? Oh, let me guess. Are you hungry? You didn't eat any of your breakfast. I'll fix you some food right now, so stay put.
No. Well, I am hungry, but that's not why I'm here.
Oh. Ignis took a deep breath, and with an uncharacteristically solemn voice, he said,
I'm sorry for avoiding you without any explanation. And probably the most important part, wasting all that food you made.
It's okay. You don't have to apologize for that. I know you were confused. Besides, you were upset, weren't you? So it's...
Even so, figured I'd man up and apologize to your face. Because no matter how things go down in tomorrow's mission, I'm never coming back to Enchante.
What? His words took me by complete surprise. Wait, what? What do you mean?
I said what I said. It's dangerous for me to stay here.
But that's why we're going tomorrow. To find a solution to this whole fiasco. Didn't you hear everybody object to the idea of you leaving Enchante? That it's out of the question? You've managed to contain your rampage up to this point, so you can...
It's not that simple. It's way more complicated than that. Il even said so. No one can tame something so linked to who I am. That goddamn instinct will forever be a part of me. I know this now more than ever, and it kills me. I'm not saying this because I want to. When I think about it, it feels like a whole bunch of funky stuff's been happening.
What do you mean, funky?
Last night, after fighting the Minotaurs for a second, kind of blacked out after getting a whiff of their blood.
Is that...
Yeah. It's like my vision turned red, like I was consumed by this vicious impulse. I recognize that sensation. That day when the Firewolf stronghold was raided, when I lost my damn mind and murdered everyone in sight, it was the same exact feeling. Spacey, Am I so much as stepped in the wrong direction I could have killed you right there and then?
Ignis was barking. He bit his lip to contain his fury.
As long as there's even a sliver of chance of that happening, I'll never return to Enchante. That's all I wanted to say. See ya.
He ended his remark, spinning on his heel to leave my room. What? Oh, cute. I'm gonna grab you. Oh, he looks so like he's gonna punch us in the CJ. Like, I know it's like he's angry and stressed out, but it literally looks like, girl, I'd be afraid. Wait! I quickly grabbed his hand, hoping it would stop him. The moment I did so, however, Ignis yanked his arm away from me. Aww. It was like he was afraid of touching me.
Let go!
No!
I said let go!
No! In the face of Ignis's petulant resistance, wow, I too resist like a nagging child. I understand what you're trying to say, Ignis. In the worst case scenario that your rampage flares up, you don't want to inadvertently hurt any of us, right? I think it's understandable to feel that way. If I was in your position, I'd probably have the same inclination. But still, one thing's for sure. I never want to contemplate what Enchante would be without you. I knew I was being selfish, but I couldn't simply let him leave, not after everything. The idea was unthinkable.
You...
The veins on Ignis's forehead bulged. Oh, his eyes are squinting. He's like, I'm gonna cry. You try not to cry, because that's what I feel like he looks like.
Won't you stop and face the music? Stop inserting me into your fantasy. I committed murder with the very hands you're hell-bent on grabbing. All those beasts who invaded the stronghold, my fellow firewolves, my friends, they're all dead, all thanks to me. Whether or not I knew, I hid it from you. My vow to never kill was all a big farce. That's the kind of asshole I am. You said it yourself. The only reason you didn't fear me was because I never killed. But I did, so...
I never saw it.
What?
I never saw you do it. I've never seen you kill anyone. Not a soul. So, you can't expect me to hate you or be afraid of you.
Why, you...
My voice was quivering. If I were to let loose, a deluge of tears would come streaming down my face. But I desperately held all of it back. After all, I'm the one tormenting Ignis with my personal feelings. Crying now, when he was at his most vulnerable, would be unfair. I would only be bringing him down while his hands were full from his crisis of self. I'm an ordinary human being. After hearing everything that happened, I can't lie and say that the thought doesn't frighten me a little. But still, the Ignis I know is better than that. He's kind, he's gentle, and he's you. I can still hold your hand like this.
Don't patronize me!
I don't care. The least you could do is not assume. Until after tomorrow, I don't want to contemplate what happens in the worst case scenario. Can't you see? I want you here, Ignis.
How? How can you say that to me? I mean, you know what's at stake. If I harmed you in any way, it would be the end.
Despite my heartfelt, desperate pleas, as I should have expected, Ignis was stubborn and his heart was set. It was tragic. It was painful, but I didn't notice until now. Kororo was sitting on the bed, staring at the open book in the corner of my eye. Kororo was reading.
Well, the Uniseal can read.
I want to guess that maybe chapter 4, because he says, I'm never coming back, blah, blah, blah. Maybe we'll get into chapter 4, and chapter 4 will be he doesn't come back. In the bad ending, you know what I mean? Where are we? Okay, we're doing it. Early the next morning, we finalized everything for our Bestia trip.
I was just thinking about all the accidents and construction there have been recently, but I had no idea it was because of Bestia. Wait, don't tell me you're going, Spacey. I mean, I get it's dangerous here because of the intruder incident, but...
Karia came to see us off, expressing concern with Kororo safe in his arms. I responded with an awkward smile, donning the blanket that I received from the young beastling. Right, I'll be okay, promise. I have everyone with me. You be careful too, Karia, just in case those Minotaurs show up in town.
I'll be fine. There are a bunch of GPM agents patrolling the area anyways.
Normally I would have asked Karia to watch after the cafe for me, but there's a chance the intruder who assaulted me could come back at any time. So this time Karia was instructed to stay at home. No, the intruder who chucked you into Bestia is already there, so it's fine. One of Mr. Rindo's trusted subordinates, at the not-so-gentle behest of Miser, agreed to watch after the cafe for me.
Not so gentle!
I want to see that. Also, it was decided that we would leave Kororo at home with Karia under the guise of a stuffed animal. Or so we had planned.
Pew!
Pew! All of a sudden, Kororo shifted his weight, leaning out of Karia's arms and dropping into mine. Kororo? This felt awfully familiar.
Pew!
He was so angry. I tried my best to give him back, but...
Ow, ow, ow!
Kororo dug his claws into my arm, seemingly unwilling to part with me.
Seems like he wants to tag along. Well, Bestia is Kororo's home, after all. Maybe the little guy loves a free trip home when he can find one.
Mr. Rindo, who was eavesdropping from the side, interjected.
It shouldn't be a big deal, no. He did notify Ignis of your predicament before. I don't think he'll be much of a burden.
Thank you. All right, Kororo, we're going. Plus, he knows something from reading the book. He was reading the book. He knows something. Karia handed Kororo over entirely, wrapping both hands around his plump body.
Beast fur? Check. Mikado's transmitter? Check. I didn't forget anything, I think.
Transmitter?
Yep, it's a new device he developed recently. A true scientific marvel.
Mr. Rindo beamed with pride as he pulled the device out from his pocket, though it looked like a smartphone to me. Mr. Rindo explained how the device enabled communication between realms with GPM as the broadcast point. Also, it took photos. Also, it took photos. He doesn't have to bring his tiny little You're like, is that a disposable fucking 110 camera? Like, Jesus Christ. Most people use digital cameras these days. He's like, no, I have to wind this and we click and shoot, and then I gotta drop it off at a Walgreens to get it processed. And you're like, does any place still do that? Really? I have to have a dark room in my bathroom. Like, I have a fuck ton of those like disposable cameras and like rolls of film that I never got developed. They will just die with me. Someone will develop them one day and be like, you're like, do I throw them out? Do I just keep them because I'm never going to get them developed? But you feel like if I throw them out, I'll just throw this film out. You're like, okay, well, but then I'm throwing out pictures. But I'm never going to get them developed because there's no place to go. And even if you found a place where you could like actually send away and get it developed, it's not like you in the day where you used to walk into a Walmart, drop pictures off, and wander around. An hour later, you go pick up your fucking pictures. That's just people. There's so many people right now who are like, what? You just click it on your phone or your camera and it's instantly right there, and you have no fucking idea. So many baffled people right now. What? Developing film? What are you, like 100? Close enough. But like, you know, like how would you even do that? It would probably cost like so much fucking money. And then you'd be like, these are pictures I took when I was like 10 and they're all like shit or they're all blurry and they're garbage and I just spent a metric fuck ton of money to develop this trash. So you're kind of like, do I throw it away? Do I just keep? So they're just in a bin somewhere in my storage unit. Like, well, they're never going to get developed, but it's one of those things you just can't throw away. You just feel weird about it. I feel like it's like the same with yearbooks. Like, you can't just throw them. I totally threw away all mine. I was like, I don't give a fuck. Throw them out. My mom was like, are you sure? Yeah, I don't give a shit. I don't know any of these people anymore. Fucking throw them out. Just get rid of them. Don't give a fuck. I have no fucking yearbooks from middle school, high school, none. Got rid of them all. It's kind of pointless to buy them. Anyway, the entire room took interest in this device as Miser and the others huddled close to sneak a peek at the palm-sized transmitter. Mikado's communicator. A prototype device made by Mikado to communicate with other worlds. Presently, it's only possible to communicate with Bestia. I'm pretty sure we had those in the fairy world. Totally different timeline, so at that point they were only good for the fairy world. Okay, fine. Ah, technology from the human world is more magical than anything from our realms. I never once considered the possibility of communicating across different realms. It's still a prototype, and the sound quality could use some improvement, and there's always a chance for the signal to drop. Pretty much sounds like cell phones. So, hey guys, let's cut the needless chatter and get moving already.
It seems Dromes has been patiently awaiting upon our arrival on the other side. We needn't keep waiting much longer.
Oh, sure. So Ignis grabbed a hold of the doorknob, bracing myself as we entered the gate to Bestia. That makes no sense. So, like, Ignis grabbed hold of the doorknob, bracing myself as we entered the gates to Bestia. That's not a full sentence. That's not... Okay, whatever. It's sometimes sentences like that, you're like, the fuck was it? It's not the best. For a while, I stared at him from behind. Without a word, I grabbed onto his shirt.
Hey, you know the rules. Keep your hands inside the vehicle at all times.
Oh, give it a rest. As if in reference to our conversation from the previous day, I hold him ever so tightly. Ignis, realizing it likely wasn't worth the argument, let out a sigh in defeat.
Whatever.
His response was as cold as I expected it to be as he squeezed the doorknob. From there, we were transported back to the snowy world altogether. And this is the perfect place to end it. This fuck. Anyway, so, yes. We'll continue in the next part. So, yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Remember to give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to see more.